Anyway, so nakikita ba yung presentation?
Yes, yes,
Yes,
yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay, okay.
Yes,
Sige,
sir.
thank you. So, kinailangan ko mag-headset ngayon kasi malakas yung ulan dito sa amin at hindi ko kayo marinig.
Para
So,
pariya man, sir. Makusog man na oran, sir.
yan. Biglang lakas lang yung dito sa amin. Anyway, so our topic for today is concerning of how computers work in our daily lives. So how computer is integrated sa sa buhay natin, sa day-to-day living ng tao, sa as students, as professionals, as yun yung ginagawa ng computer sa buhay natin. So, let us first tackle on how computers work. So, tingnan natin yung basic parts. Balikan natin yung basic parts niya. Yung isang computer system is comprised of many components of a computer. Mainly, we have the CPU or the central processing unit of the computer, which is considered as the most important component in a computer. Handles most operations that makes it function by processing instructions and giving signals out to the component. Dito nakapaloob yung lahat ng components ng computer, motherboard, lahat. Ito yung pinakonsider natin as yung brain ng computers. So yeah. Okay. So inside the CPU, we will find the RAM or the random access memory. It is a computer component where the data used by the operating system and software application stores data to the CPU so that it can process them quickly. So, yung random access memory is kung saan ini-store yung instructions, yung data na kailangan ng computer, ng CPU para makapag-communicate sa other components. So, next we have the hard disk drive or yung ating HDD. It's a component where files are being stored, files, data are being stored. So, component where photos, apps, documents, and such are kept. So, ang ating hard disk drive is yung component ng computer kung saan natin, parang yung, ano pa yung may magnetic disk pa siya na meron sa, sa, sa loob niya. Yung workings niya is comprised of a needle and a magnetic disk wherein data is being written sa magnetic disk na yan. So, slowly, it is being now replaced by yung ating solid state drive or yung technology na kung saan mas kumbaga mas durable siya compared sa hard disk drive. Kaya ba kung may mga external drives tayo, especially yung mga malalaking drives natin, like yung mga 1 terabyte na size, 2 terabytes, iniingatan natin na hindi siya mabagsak because pwedeng masira yung hard disk drive natin. Hindi na mabasa yung mga files na meron tayo doon sa loob ng hard disk drive. So, yung ating solid state, unlike sa solid state drives natin, SSD, yung technology niya is parehas din sa ating sa mga flash drives. You know, hindi na siya napapalitan na yung magnetic disks ng silicon-based component kung saan doon na na-install. Parehas sa ang ano niya, parehas ang technology niya sa ating mga micro SDs, flash drives. So, yung ating solid state drive. Mas durable siya. Durable mas durable siya. So, na-protect masyado yung ating files. So, next component, we have the motherboard. So, it acts as the home for all the other components, allows them to communicate with each other, and gives them the power give them power in order to function. So, yung ating motherboard dito na naka-attach lahat ng components ng computer. Yung CPU kasi is yung totality ng components. Yung sa motherboard, dito naka-attach yung HDD, yung video cards, yung audio cards, yung halos lahat ng components na naka-comprise sa isang circuit board na malaki. So, this is the largest part actually ng CPU. So next, we have the video and sound cards. Two components which helps the user interact with the computer, mainly for sa video, sa graphics na sinashow niya sa monitor, and then sa sound card, syempre sa audio naman, sa audio part ng computer. So, next, we have the network adapters. Improves the user's experience as it provides access to the internet. So, network adapters are yung adapter para sa internet or Ethernet connections para ma-connect sa network yung computer. So, there are how does computer communicate with ano yung language na ginagamit ng computers? So, paano ba? Parehas ba ng communication method na ginagamit natin? So, in machine language, kasi, iba yung language ng communication ng computers unlike sa atin. So, in machine language, they use different types of number systems na and digits na as their basis for communication. So, machine language sometimes refers to as machine codes or object code. Machine language is a collection of binary digits or bits that a computer reads and interprets. So mainly, we have different types of number system or number machine language na ginagamit. First, we have the binary language system. This is only comprised of codes or machine codes of comprising of two digits, mainly zeros and ones. So, kaya binary kasi dalawa lang. So, different characters will correspond to different combination of the codes. So, halimbawa ngayon sa period, for example, hindi kasi masyadong kabisado to. Yung period character sa isang keyboard, this is kapag pinress mo to, so yung lalabas na instruction sa computer, sa CPU ng computer is sabihin natin 000 yung code. So, ito yung may interpret na nung computer na period yung corresponding na character doon. So, yun yung i-flash niya sa screen. So, kung sa A, 010, 0101, yun. So, this is all for binary binary method or sa binary number system. So, binary code yung tawag sa binary system. Yung numbers, combinations of zeros and ones. So, meron pang iba na actually may iba pang uri ng number systems. We have yung example. Comparison ng sa decimal number system sa binary number system. So, next we have yung decimal number system is a base 10 number system having digits from 0 to 9. So, 10 yung digits na meron. Combination ng dalawang digits from 0 to 9. Ito yung decimal number system. Kaya desi kasi 10. This means that the numerical quantity can be represented using these 10 digits. Decimal number systems is also a positional value system. This means that the value of digits will depend on its position. So, I will not anymore dig deeper into this because we are not sa IT kasi yon. Overview lang tayo ng 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 machine language. So next we have the hexadecimal number system. So hexadecimal number is hexadecimal numbers group binary numbers into sets of 4, allowing the conversion of 16 different binary digits, mainly 0 to 15 digits niya. Uses a base 16 where it uses 16 different digits with a combination of 0 to 15. So, unlike sa binary na 01, yung combination niya. So, kung sa yun na much larger, kumbaga yung kung ini-interpret ng computers is isang character na kung saan comprised ng isang mahabang set ng zeros and ones, yung ginagawa sa hexadecimal is ginugroup niya ito yung binary code into groups of 4. Sabihin natin 0001 nga, 0101, tapos 00111111. Nag-group siya into corresponding to a single digit. Yung groups pag na-group na into 4, it corresponds to a single digit sa hexadecimal number system. So, next we have the octal number system. In octal number system, a binary number is divided into 3-bit groups, with each group or set of bits having a distinct value between 000 and 111. Octal number therefore have a range of 8 digits, namely 0 to 7, making it a base 8 number system. So, para mas maintindihan natin to, yung comparison ng apat na ginagamit na machine language. So, ito, yung example ng machine language na kung saan nandito yung ating binary, decimal, octal, and hexadecimal. So, yeah. Ganito ang interpretation ng computer sa information na ini-input natin. They are being interpreted as zeros and ones, then transcribed as characters pag sinishow na sa output from the peripheral components ng computers. So, yeah. So, how does the computer interpret data? The different types of number system, it is important to understand how computers interpret the letters on the keyboards through binary coding. This is normally done through number system conversion. Depending on the standard use, computer systems convert characters from the keyboard and later display them on the monitor. Refer to the following steps. So, ito yung process kung paano na-interpret yung ini-input natin sa keyboard papunta sa computer, paano nyo ito ini-interpret, then paano nyo ito tinatranscribe as a display. So first, from typing the keyboard, pressure pads are typically found underneath each key. Upon typing a letter, the pressure pad sends information to the CPU for processing. Next step, the information is then transmitted in the form of zeros and ones using the ACII code. So, mamaya makikita natin kung ano yung corresponding codes ng characters sa keyboard sa using the ACII table. Next, the CPU determines what characters have been typed and sends the information to the computer monitor again in zeros and ones in binary coding pa din. So lastly, the monitor displays the information in its equivalent character, this time readable and understandable by the users. So, ito yung paano yung process of typing or process of inputting information sa computer and how the computer outputs process information. So, yeah. ACII, or the American Standard Code for Information Interchange. It is a code used for converting characters into binary code, a 7-bit code used to represent letters, numbers, and basic special characters. So, ito yung example ng ating ACII kung saan makikita nyo dyan yung corresponding if you have your laptops with you or a keyboard or a mechanical keyboard, makikita nyo dyan yung corresponding na letters sa keyboard, may corresponding siyang code may corresponding siyang code sa na ini-interpret ng computers using their language, yung machine language. So, okay, ito na. So, ito na talaga siya. So, yeah. So, how does computers how does computers interact with one another. Wait lang. Notice how the computer uses different ways to connect to certain devices. So, for example, sa USB connections natin, wireless and wired connections natin. So, the computer monitor uses a wire to connect to the computer unit, while the mouse wirelessly connects to the laptop, and etc. Depending on the situation, computers use different connection methods to do their tasks. So, this is all connections and other information transfers are being controlled by the system bus. The system bus is a pathway composed of cables and connectors used to carry data from a computer's peripheral device. For example, yung information galing sa mouse, yung directional clicking, yung information galing sa input, yung pag-input sa keyboard, ano pa ba, yung information galing dito sa aking microphone, papunta sa computer. So, dito dumadaan sa system bus. Papunta sa CPU and the main memories. So there are three types of buses. Namely, we have the data bus, the address bus, and the control bus. So, basa muna ako ng konti. So, yeah. The data bus. A data bus is defined as a group of signal lines used to transmit data in parallel from one element of a computer to another. A data bus can transfer data to and from the memory of a computer or into or out of the CPU. Examples of pieces of information that transfers the data bus includes files transferred from flash drive to the computer's hard drive and documents sent to the printer for printing. So, sa data bus dumadaan yung files natin na kailangan. The data bus is responsible for accessing this type of files. A data bus can transfer. Okay. Okay. The next type of bus is yung ating address bus. So, the address bus is used by the CPU to specify for a physical address for instructions, files, and other devices within the computer system. For example, in a given computer unit, there are 6 to 8 USB ports. The address bus is responsible for checking which of the USB ports has a printer connected to it, along with the mouse, keyboard, speakers, and sometimes even external hard disk drives. So, yung address bus is responsible for locating connections from peripheral devices papunta sa computer or from the computer papunta sa peripheral devices. This kaya nga address bus kasi yung location in-specify ng address bus yung location ng connections. Yeah, tama. In-specify ng address bus yung locations ng connections ng peripheral devices to the computer. So, yeah. Lastly, we have the control bus. It is used by the CPUs to communicate with other devices within the computer system, as the address bus carries the location of the data being sent and the data bus carries the actual data being processed. The control bus carries the commands or instructions from the CPU. It also sends status signals from the devices identifying if it is kulang ng kulang ng S. If it is ready or not. So, control bus, ang example dito is yung ating command prompt, yung prompt na lumalabas. For example, yung pag nag-open tayo ng system Windows sa computer, so may mga command prompts na malabas. For example, may corrupted data ka. Ito yung lalabas, may corruption prompt na lalabas. So, instructions ang instructions and commands ang dala naman nitong control bus. So, let me repeat. Sa data bus, ang dala ng data bus is yung actual data to be processed, yung actual data na kailangan i-proseso, no, from peripheral devices, no. Yung address bus is yung location ng peripheral devices to the connection with the computer, and yung control bus is yung instructions and command which carries the instructions and commands for from the CPU. So yeah. The amount of data sent throughout the system bus depends on the size of the bus. Latest computer systems use a 64-bit bus. However, the majority still use a 32-bit computing size. So, yung di ko kasi masyadong alam. Pero mas marami kasi yung kayang i-process ng isang 64-bit computer kaysa sa 32-bit. Yung 32-bit computer model natin is papunta na siya sa obsolete-ness. Kumbaga malapit na siya maging obsolete kasi as our technology advances forward, no? So, upgrades are being made. Having an operating system or software application that is 32-bit or 64-bit is different. Again, the hardware is different from the software. It is advised that if your computer hardware uses a 32-bit bus, use only software programs running 32 bits. So, ano mangyayari kapag, for example, yung computer mo is a 64-bit, uses a 64-bit bus hardware, tapos i-installan mo siya ng 32-bit bus na software, ano mangyayari? The software will not be processed by the computer kasi mismatch. Hindi siya compatible. Yeah. Hindi siya compatible sa hardware mo. Yung software mo is not compatible with your hardware. So, yeah. Since dapat halos may compatibility dapat yung software and hardware natin for it to work. So, yeah. Kung hindi naman siya worst case scenario kasi kapag ganoon is pwedeng mag-crash yung system ng computer mismo. Pwedeng mag-crash or hindi na talaga totally gumana. Maapektuhan pa yung ibang components niya kapag ganito yung ginagawa. So, if you're installing, please be mindful of applications and softwares you're installing in your computer. Please make sure that the specs of softwares will match the specs of your hardware. So yeah. So ito is yung paano mag-communicate yung computer mismo sa loob ng components, from component to component sa loob ng computer. How does computers naman communicate with another computer? So we have different connections na meron. Papasan pa pala ako. Okay. We have different connections na meron. So, we can namely define this as a computer network system. So, it is defined as the interconnection of two or more computers, giving computers the capability to share information and resources. Computers are able to communicate with one another over networks. A computer network, there are several types of networks, mostly depending on the number of computers in it, how they are used, and what type of technology is used in its connectivity. Below are some of the computer network systems. So these are examples of computer network systems. Depending on how many computers are interconnected with one another and depending on the technology used. If it is wired, wireless, uses infrared, Bluetooth, or whatsoever. So I have listed there three according to my source. May three types. So first is the personal R network. Sorry, personal area network to. Sorry. Personal area network, or the PAN, is a type of connection which is often limited to an individual person and his or her personal devices. For example, yung laptop mo, tapos ano pa ba yung connected dito na devices mo? So, for example, yung phone mo connected pa dito, printers, speakers, external speakers. So, personal area network. So, limited lang sa iilang devices ang pwedeng i-connect sa 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 computer, pwedeng wireless or by wire. So next we have a local area network. So it is a connection which a group of computers and other devices such as network printers share a common communication line within a certain area such as a building or a small campus. Makikita natin to sa mga internet shops, no? Sa gaming shops, sa ICT room. So ganito yung type ng connection na meron sa sa within those computers. So they are connected locally. Kaya local area network. So limited lang yung range pati ng local area network. So I think it is 10 meter radius lang ata. So oh yeah, 10 meter radius lang yung local area network. So yeah. Next we have a wide area network, or the WAN. May be less restrictive than the LAN, as rulers and policies may be may differ within its coverage. The WAN may be made of several LANs and PANs, and WAN can also be made up of several more WAN. So, wide area network mas wider siya. So, pwede natin i-consider na as ang internet as a wide area network. No? So, internet is also classified as this. So, mas wider ang connectivity, mas maraming computers na pwedeng makapag-communicate with one another, mas maraming computers na pwedeng mag-share ng files through wire or through wireless technologies na gagamitin. So yeah, this is for wide area networks. So there are several types of methods of communication that is used in a contemporary society to connect computer networks to one another. Connections are often categorized generally into two, yung ating wired and wireless communication. So wired communication is defined as the transmission of data over a wire-based communication technology. So kaya wired. Wired communications is also known as wireline communication. Examples include telephone networks, cable televisions, or internet access, Ethernet, and fiber optic communication. So, for example, yung ating internet, we are yung internet, yung mga nakapag-fiber dyan. So, wired communication yun. So, gumagamit kayo ng Wi-Fi, yung wireless fidelity natin, yung main source ng internet niya is not from the router but from the network, which is carried out by optic cable wires. So yeah. So ano pa ba yung ating telephone lines? This is wired communication also. Yung external speakers na sinasaksak sa audio jack. So these are wired communication. So I've listed here several types of wired communications. First off is we have the USB, or the Universal Serial Bus, a connection or interface that allows the computer to communicate with system peripherals such as keyboards, mouse, printers, speakers, as well as other devices such as digital cameras and portable files. Ito yung mga ports kung saan pwede natin ikabit yung, yung ating speakers, yung printers, na makikita natin dito sa ating laptops. So, we all know this, yung USB ports na tinatawag natin. So, pakitandaan po, yung stick, yung memory stick na dala natin is not called a USB, but it is called a flash drive. So, wag magturo ng mali sa mga estudyante din, ha? So, Flash drive, sinasaksak sa USB. Okay. Next, we have FireWire. It is a type of connector that can transmit data to and from devices, which have typical high data rates such as external hard drives, and transfer speed of a FireWire is faster than that of a USB. So, wait lang. May picture kasi dito ng FireWire. Wait. So, eh, wait lang ha. Hanap ko yung picture ng FireWire. So, para mas dapat pala nilagyan ko to ng picture. Sorry ha, nakalimutan ko lagyan ng pictures. So, let me direct your attention to Chrome tab. So, ito. Ito yung example ng FireWire. So, parang USB type yung connection din niya, pero hindi siya kasing bilis. Mas mabilis yung data transfer na nangyayari dito sa FireWire compared sa ating USB. So, makikita natin siya dito sa part na saan po? Sa FireWire dito sa HDMI. Walang FireWire dito sa aking laptop. So, yeah. So, mas mabilis yung data transfer na nangyayari sa FireWire compared sa USB ports. So, yeah. Next, we have yung ating Ethernet cables. Ito yung Ethernet cables natin is yung sinasaksak, yung kung meron kayo dyan na modem ng internet, ito yung sinasaksak, kinakabit sa laptop na parang cable ng sa telephone wire baga or telephone line. Sinasaksak nyo sa laptop nyo para makapag-connect sa internet. So, transmit signals between a computer and a network device such as router, switch, or other computers. So, nung mga una pa, yung dial-ups pa yung ginagamit as a way of connecting to the internet, ito yung sinasaksak sa computers para makapag-connect ang isang old model computer at kahit ngayon, ganito pa rin yung ginagawa. Pero usually yung mga lumalabas na models ng desktops ngayon is papunta na din sa wireless, yung Wi-Fi na din yung gamit. So yeah. Next we have the Next we have the HDMI or the high definition multimedia interface, a connector for transmitting audio and video data which are compatible to computers, projectors, and digital televisions. So ito yung sinasaksak natin na port dito sa ating devices, sa ating laptops, papunta sa, for example, sa isang external monitor, no? For example, sa TV or sa projector. Ito yung ating HDMI HDMI natin. So, before kasi yung ginagamit pag natin is yung VGA, yung video graphics array. No? It is now replaced by this HDMI kasi mas hindi lang video yung kaya niyang i-project but pati yung audio pati yung sounds, yung audio kasama na dito sa HDMI. Before sa VGA hindi. Ano lang, talagang purely display lang yung video lang yung kayang i-project. So, yeah. So, dito, sa next slide is yung old tech. Yung una kasi ito, sa first slide, dito yung new tech to, dito sa next slide is yung mga para sa old tech na computers natin. So, yun nga, sinasabi ko kanina, yung VGA or the Video Graphics Array has been provided for many video cards, computers and monitors, laptops, computers and projectors. So, this is how computers connect through projectors, through TVs, through external monitors, by the use of the VGA. So, alam niyo naman siguro ang itsura ng VGA, di ba? Next, we have the serial. Once a standard feature of a personal computer used for connection to modem, printer, mouse, and other peripheral devices. Ang serial is parang, ang style niya, check natin yung, ang serial, parang external USB port na may wire. Wait, serial connector. Connector. Ay, not internet. Not internet. Hindi ako makapag-connect sa internet. Bakit kaya? So, serial port. Ito. Ang example ng serial port para siyang maliit na VGA using pins. Pins din yung type ng connection niya. Wait. At i-share ko dito sa ating sorry. Okay. Ito yung example ng isang serial. So, this is replaced by USBs na. So, ito yung sinasaksak sa serial. Next, we have the parallel or yung mas pinahabang serial. Ito. This is parallel and serials. So, yung parallel port natin yung parallel port na meron sa isang computer is female yung saksakan, tapos yung sa pins is yung para sa connection, baliktad dito sa ating serial connectors. So, yun. Tagal na din ako din nakakita nito. Okay. Balik tayo sa presentation. Okay. Then we have the PS2, a 6-pin connector used to connect the mouse and keyboard to a computer, and it's color-coded to identify which peripheral can be connected to which port. So, if sorry, if naabutan niyo pa yung mechanical mouses and mechanical keyboards before, yung connection niya papunta sa computer is yung bilog. Yung bilog pa siya, bilog. Hindi pa siya yung USB type. Bilog pa siya na ikakabit mo sa likod ng CPU. Tapos, yung color-coded din siya. Yung green is for the mouse. Kalimutan ko na kasi, matagal na kasi wala nito. Yung green ata is for mouse and yung pink is for keyboard. So, basta, ito yung connections ng type of connectors na ginagamit para ma-connect yung mouse tapos yung keyboard sa computer. So, yeah. I'm sorry. So, we have audio jacks now. Dati, color-coded yung audio jacks natin. There are certain types of jacks na dapat ikabit ka lang sa computer. For example, yung green jack, kailangan ikakabit mo lang siya sa speaker out. Yung black para sa line in or mono microphone. yung pink para sa microphone, yung black or dark blue para sa rear speakers, yung gray, yung orange para sa woofer. So may certain connections, may certain jacks na for certain peripheral speakers. So for certain external speakers, sorry. So ngayon, iisa na lang yung jack na or isa or dalawa na lang yung jacks na ikinakabit sa computer. For example, dito sa laptop, isang jack na lang yung kailangan na na saksakan. So kasama na yun doon yung microphone and yung speaker, microphone in and speaker in, speaker out is magkasama na sa isang jack. So ang kinakailangan now is yung 3 mm male jack na for 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 speakers and may built-in microphone. So kung kailangan ng separate na na devices for microphones and speakers, so kinakailangan saksakan muna ng splitters na ini-split yung microphone and yung microphone in and yung speaker out. So, yun. For example, wait lang. Actually, gumagamit ako ngayon nito. Send ko lang sa group. So, as you can see, I'm using a splitter to connect my condenser microphone and my headset or headphones sa laptop ko. Okay. Next we have how does computers communicate with other computers by means of the method of communication. We only have two methods, either wired or wireless. Sa wireless communication, discuss ko na pala kanina, sorry. Sa wireless communication naman, there are several types of wireless communication which uses different kinds of waves and frequencies kung saan ito yung ginagamit nila as means of transferring of communicating devices with one another. So wireless communication is a method of transmitting information from one point to another without using any connections like wires, cables, or any physical medium. Generally, a communication system information is transmitted from transmitter to receiver that are placed over a limited distance that includes microwave transmission, satellite communications, cellular transmissions, and radio transmissions, such as Wi-Fi connectivity. So, what is Wi-Fi again? Wi-Fi is wireless fidelity. So, yeah. There are different types of waves that is used for transmitting wireless communication. We have first is the infrared transmission. It is an electromagnetic radiation, infrared natin, which with longer wavelengths than visible light. These are usually used for short-range communications. These signals do not pass through solid objects. So, before, bago pa yung rise ng Bluetooth, yung Bluetooth natin, is we transfer files using infrared, infrared, kalimutan ko yung term, basta, using infrared ports na nandun sa ating devices. Meron phone before yung kung naabutan nyo pa, yung Nokia 5100 ata yun. Yung Nokia 5100, mayroon siyang infrared ports kung saan pwede mo ipagdikit yung dalawang device na may infrared, basta yun na yun. Tapos pwede ka mag-transfer ng music, ng video,